We go with a couple of names. That we go with Jezbollah and Fruit and Nut. That Hamas are terrible, terrible people. And you have to ask why? Why all these Muslim countries don't want them? And a lot of those, like I say, those Muslim countries don't want Palestine having its own territory.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. With this episode's returning and still amazing guest, that's Silver Fox from Silver Fox Hot Takes. How you doing, Foxy?
Hi, Nick. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's been a hell of a time on the news, hasn't it? We haven't run out of things to talk about, that's for sure. Sometimes you get very lean days where there's not a lot going on, and other days you're overwhelmed with it. And I think we've been lucky for the last couple of weeks.
Well, for the last week, 10 days, I've started doing pieces to camera. So it's very similar to what you do. And it's how many do I do a day? I'm trying to keep it to 2 or 3 a day. And there's 10, 15 things a day I could be talking about, just doing 3-4 minutes to camera. Now, you just said, I'm all right, Nick. Now, can Keir Starmer say such a thing? If I had Keir Starmer sitting where you're sitting, would he say, I'm doing all right, Nick? Or is he worried sick about a gentleman called Corbyn? Is he worried about Corbyn and this new party? What's it called? Our party, your party.
We go with a couple of names. That we go with Jezbollah and Fruit and Nut. But no, he would say, yes, I'm okay. But of course, that would be a complete and utter lie. He's clearly not. He's clearly frightened, very rattled and frightened. And he's desperately trying to come up with a policy that will appeal to people, but doesn't actually cost him very much money because he hasn't got any. But he thinks, and I think in his mind, he thinks everybody's pro-Palestine because of the useful idiots that keep going marching in London. But I think they are a very, very small minority. I think most people in this country recognise that Hamas are terrible, terrible people, and that the Palestinians keep voting them. Well, I say keep voting them in. They haven't had a vote for 20 years. But when they did vote them in, they voted them in overwhelmingly, and they've never called to get rid of them. So, the Palestinians are, in a bed of their own making. And he thinks that we are all falling over ourselves to recognise Palestine. And I don't think he realises that he's not. I mean, certainly within his own party, there's a lot of people that think either he's not going far enough and hard enough, or he's going too far. There's very few where he, in the Goldilocks zone. So I think whatever he does is alienating people. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? But yeah, he's in a quandary, but he's done it to himself.
He has done it to himself. Now, if this was a 3-way, he'd be saying to us, "But Nick, Foxy, I've got Corbyn on my left flank here now. They've just started a new party. We don't know its name yet because they keep changing it. It's run by idiots. I get that, but I'm a bit of an idiot myself. That's what Starmer would say. But Gaza is a huge issue when it comes to the far left, when it comes to the Muslim vote. And if you can harness the far left and the Muslim vote, there's a very good chance you could win the next general election. There is a chance there. So he's looking at Corbyn going, I've got to do something. I've got reform on my right. Well, are they on the right? Who knows? But he's going, Corbyn's on my left. I've got to throw some red meat to my voters about not joining the Corbyn bandwagon. That's really why he's done it, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, desperate for the votes, but he's even got that wrong. I mean, you think making the wrong decision is bad enough, but making the wrong decision and then making that wrong decision worse by approaching every possible aspect from that in the wrong way. I mean, he comes out and says, well, we're going to put conditions on Israel. So effectively punishing Israel. That's a weird thing because effectively you're alienating America. Then he's sucking up to Palestine and thus rewarding those that committed a terrible atrocity. The trouble is Hamas, of course, have got a status of being a terrorist organization. He wants now to legitimize Palestine, but to do so, he must, by the UN Charter, recognize that the government of Palestine is legitimate, but the government is Hamas. So he's talked himself into a position where he's actually going to have to recognize a proscribed terrorist organization as the legitimate government of a country. One of the other problems he's got is that the requirement also requires strictly held borders, and Palestine doesn't have any. It never has. Even Palestinians don't know where their borders are. And so he's trying to do all this from a position of stupidity and ignorance, the likes of which I have never seen in my entire life of following politics. It's astonishing. And what does he even hope to achieve? If, by some miracle, he gets Palestinian statehood, which I must admit has been offered to the Palestinians many times by the Israelis, and they keep saying no. If he does get Palestinian statehood, he's going to alienate the Israelis. He's going to alienate the Saudi Arabians. He's going to alienate the United Arab Emirates. You know, all these people. He's going to America, of course, the US. He's basically taking all our allies and kicking them to the touchline just to prove a point, so that you can get a few Muslim votes in this country, and there's no guarantee they will, because, of course, a lot of the Muslims now are starting to vote for Muslim-centric independence with the hope of forming, I don't know what you'd call it, the Caliphate Party, for example, or the, British Muslim Party, something like that. So there's no guarantee he's even going to get the votes. And, of course, a lot of them are already switching over to Jeremy Corbyn. So the damage he's going to do through this policy is beyond measure. And yet you can't tell him, because he's so far up his own backside and so confident in his own abilities that he thinks that he's almost godlike in his approach. And it's that level of arrogance and conceit that's absolutely going to alienate everything and is going to make Britain a very weak player going forward.
Oh, I completely agree. Several things there. The first thing is, this is a problem of our making. This is a problem of mass migration. We've imported millions and millions of Muslims into this country. And now that they're a voting bloc, we're having to bend over backwards, some parties, to ensure they get a large part of that Muslim voting bloc. Hence why Palestine is an issue. Free Palestine's an issue in the UK. It's a foreign country with foreign people on a foreign continent. What's it got to do with us? What has it got to do with us? I'm not pro-Palestinian. I'm not even pro-Israel. I don't care either way. Let them sort the shit out themselves. That's my philosophy there. But then we also have to look at, if you're going to vote, if you're a Muslim in this country or a far lefty, don't have to be Muslim to want free Palestine. But if you're on that side, why would you vote Labour and Starmer when you have someone even better, even going to go further than him in either the Islamic bloc vote, the people who are standing for that, or Corbyn? So there's an option there that's even more free Palestine. And the third point is Trump. Trump already despises Starmer and his Labour government.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
Trump has just, from what I've read, I only read the headline, forgive me if this is a little bit wrong, Trump has just put on extra tariffs on Canada for wanting a Palestinian state, and we're going to annoy the Americans. I know, I don't mind annoying the Americans. We're not the 51st state. We're an independent country, but you've got to be silly to want to antagonize the world power and our friends over something we really don't care about. If this was about the channel, if this was about British sovereignty or things we want to do, then sod the Americans, we're going to do it anyway. But over a foreign problem on a foreign continent, we don't need to be annoying Trump any Americans, do we? Do we? Because he's going to punish us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I expect he could, because he hasn't ratified those trade agreements yet. I expect them to be ripped up spectacularly. I can see him putting travel bans on some members of the cabinet. That'd be ideal, wouldn't it? Put a travel ban on David Lammy. I'd love to see that. I'd pay good money for that one.
No. That means he stays and spends more time in the UK.
Yeah, but at least he's not flying off eating everything, you know. But you know, I just love to see that, and I would love to see that kind of punishment. That's where it needs to hit, right at the top. Don't punish the British people, punish the British government, absolutely. But I mean, the thing is, they're all going, "Oh, we need this for the Muslim vote." Most Muslim countries don't want Palestinians. That's why Egypt built the biggest wall you've ever seen. Jordan, and they consider themselves Jordanians, because it's the river to the sea. Well, the river is the River Jordan. Um, but Jordan's saying, "Get out of here. We don't want them." The Syrians, they're having a civil war, and they've said, "We don't want them." Iraq, Iran, none of them want them. You have to ask why. Why all these Muslim countries don't want them? And a lot of those, like I say, those Muslim countries don't want Palestine having its own territory. They're quite happy with the way Israel's dealing with this. And considering how many of those countries I've just mentioned have actually gone to war with Israel in the past, it's funny how they're not going to war with Israel now.
Yeah, and that's because Palestine, and this isn't about every individual, but on the whole, Palestinians are trouble and have been trouble. My understanding is the migration of Palestinians into Jordan in the 70s or 80s, they tried to overthrow the king, the Palestinian refugees. So the fanatics, the Islamists, why would...
Oh, they are. They're completely fanatics. Yeah, they raise their children to kill Jews.
Yeah, and to kill non-believers and to kill Muslims who are not following the
right Muslims.
correctly. Yeah. So all these countries around them are going, we don't want these nutcases. We just don't want, hence why none of those countries are taking them. It's only the stupid West who are taking them. It's only France who said, we're going to take millions of them until somebody went a bit stabby or started threatening people online. And now I think they're changing their mind. The Palestinians, it looks like a dooms people because of themselves, because of their choices and because of their behavior. I'm not saying they shouldn't have their own country. My point is, I don't care.
Let them earn it. Let them earn it.
But I don't want them here. That's my fight. I don't want them here.
No, don't want them here. No. I mean, it's how can we put this? It's a problem. Their problem is they're just so filled with hate, but they've been educated from a young age. It's a generational hate thing, and that won't be broken. And until we in the West accept that. The trouble is, we accept it, you accept it. Most sane people accept it. But you look at those marches, and it tends to generally be unemployed, middle-aged, middle-class people pretending to be virtuous. Oh. There was a woman the other day there was a woman in Spain, wasn't there? Gave her house over to an immigrant. He then took over the house. She's now living with her brother, and he can't get she can't get him out. Then there was another one. Was it a French woman who took in she was actually someone senior, like a charity leader or something. She's going, oh yeah, we must take in all the immigrants. The immigrants are fine. Immigrants are welcome here. She was beaten to within an inch of her life by a bunch of immigrants, and all of a sudden she's like, maybe not. She completely changed her mind overnight. I wonder why. Perhaps it took her being beaten to a pulp to realise the dangers of bringing in people where you don't know who they are, you don't know what they're like, you don't know what they've done, and you don't know what they're going to do. But especially if they're Palestinians, because you do know. And that's the worst of it.
Do you remember that French theatre in Paris last year that invited all the illegal immigrants in for a day and they didn't leave? And 3 months later, they went bankrupt.
Yeah. I know, you gotta laugh, haven't you? I mean, I just love this. It's karma, isn't it? Oh yeah, we're gonna be virtuous to do this. What the fuck?
There was another story from a couple of years ago. I wrote about it in one of my books. It was an American couple, a married couple, man and a woman, who bought a tandem bicycle and were cycling through all the Muslim countries to bring peace to she was gang raped and both of them were beheaded.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, you didn't bring peace, did you, love? No.
Went home in pieces.
Yeah. And that's because we think everyone around the world is just like us. They're just like us. They're not like us. They're different. They've been raised over thousands of years to be different, to fit their environment, to fit their culture, to fit the weather, the climate, to fit the map. They've been raised differently to us. So therefore,
But all the socialists, Nick, all tell you that all cultures are the same. Let me tell you, no, they ain't. And I don't care who complains. Some cultures are better than others. And cultures that tend not to sexualize children or treat women as second-class citizens or murder gay people, I think they're better cultures. And if you disagree, then there's something wrong with you.
oh, absolutely. We've imported female genital mutilation into this country, and everybody says it's bad, and we're trying to stop it. I think we've had 5 prosecutions in 20 years.
It'd be easier not to bring it in, though, really, wouldn't it?
Isn't that the answer? Stop importing other people's problems and other people's failed culture into our country. Did you know that the Met Police have a witchcraft department?
You know, 5 years ago, I'd have been astonished at that. You know what? You've just told me. I didn't know, but I'm going to tell you now. My reaction is, yeah, I suppose they probably do. And it's a kind of, I've given up hope kind of reaction. You know, yeah.
And it's not that new, Foxy. It's about, from my recollection, it's 7-8 years old, and it's because
I know, and I'm going to say now, I know what you're saying. You're not talking hubble bubble, toil and trouble witchcraft. You're talking sort of Black African, tribal. What's the word? Juju man, and
I'm talking about
where they take people apart where they're albinos and use body parts.
Yeah, I'm talking about black children in this country going missing and being chopped up in witchcraft, being found in the Thames.
Yeah, that's happened several times.
And and they're the extreme cases. There's been children in London who've been beaten to death because they're demons, possession. And we have a department now, a small department in the Met Police, looking at and trying to stop African witchcraft in London. Did you ever think growing up we'd get to a stage where we're fighting witchcraft again in the UK?
Nick, remind me, what was the year they passed the law that when you became a politician, you had to have your spine pulled out and your testicles cut off?
It was it was just after the Second World War.
No, I thought it was 1989 or 1990, when they got rid of the last prime minister with a spine and a pair of balls.
Yes, Thatcher. Yeah, 1990.
He's the last one who had a pair, big steel pair.
Yeah. And surprisingly, she wasn't born with them. She had to get hers grafted on, and she was still more of a man than any man she ever worked with. There's a great quote from her, and she sat in a cabinet meeting while she's being interviewed. I forgot what it was now. And she says, when I leave politics, I'm going to set up a business, and it's going to be called Rent a Spine. And she aimed that at her cabinet because she says none of them have got a spine or a backbone. And that's what we're lacking in this country, a backbone.
You haven't got politicians willing to tell the truth because they're going to go, oh, but if I say that, I might offend the tiny percentage of weirdos over there. Say it. Because the 99.9% will stand behind you and go, and thank God he said it,
Yeah. And even if people disagree with you, at least then they go, he's an honest sort of chap. At least he says it as it is. There's no spin. There's no not answering the question. I disagree with him on that one point, but at least he comes across as an honourable person, which means I can then believe the other stuff he says. And I might vote for him because of that, because some of the stuff he says I agree with. And I know he means it because he says stuff that most people won't say. And that's where we get the word honour from, because they're respectable. We then start believing those individuals, and we can accept some things we don't like about a politician if then we believe all the other stuff that we agree with.
Oh, completely agree. There was one politician in particular who I absolutely loathed his politics, but I admired his honesty, and that was Dennis Skinner, the beast of Ballsover. I mean, he didn't hold back. I mean, completely disagreed with everything he stood for. But, I mean, I did respect him as a parliamentarian,
You always knew where he stood. He was never going to take your feelings into account on how he made his decisions and choices. Your feelings were nothing to him. That's how it should be.
That's how it should be. Yes. Do the right thing. Stand up for the people. Don't work against British people. Work for them. Not that we've got that. 650 traitors.
Do you see anyone coming through? Anyone catching your eye who there's a sparkle that you're thinking they may be someone special? Is there anyone at all, Foxy? Anyone? Just give me some hope.
Any party,
any politician.
No,
is
not
there?
one. There's a few that may throw a bit of spanner in the works.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't trust them as far as I can spit a rat.
Yeah.
You know, Jenrick, he's something new for the Tories. But the trouble is, the Tories were a busted flush. After they spent 7 billion, brought in nearly 30,000 Afghans, and then put a double injunction on it. Screw the Tories. I mean, you know, they're done. They're done now. They are traitorous. This lot in power now, traitorous. The Lib Dems are a joke. The Greens are just communists in a green coat. You're left with reform, but my God, that's the only reason people are going to vote is because it's different. But I don't think they're going to be that different when they get into power. And Nigel Farage, bless him, but he's not the Messiah. So no, nobody. And you know, oh, and Magic Grandpa, definitely not.
Who's Magic Grandpa?
Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. I think the only good point about Corbyn is the people who join Corbyn's party, we will then know that they're the far left lunatics, Islamists. That's why I like his party. He's going to bring them out into the fold. We're able to see them.
We can all point at them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody disguise that. We're just socialists.
I've just thought of one politician I respect.
Oh, please.
One. And he is an SNP. Well, no, he's not an SNP anymore. He used to be. He's not in. He's going to be standing as an independent, isn't he? And I can see his face. Can't think of his name. His sister Annabelle. Oh God. What is it? I'm gonna have to Google this.
Google it. Well, I'm not really. I don't know much about.
You can cut this bit out, but
I don't know much about Scottish politics. So even when you tell me his name, I still won't know who he is. I think the only Scottish politician I can name at the moment is useless. He's the only one.
Okay, I'm going to do that line again, right? You can put this line in, right? So no, Nick, I think there's one politician that I respect, and it's amazingly, he's a Scottish politician for the SNP. Well, he's not in the SNP anymore. He resigned from the SNP. He's an independent. That's Fergus Ewing, and I respect him because although I disagree with the SNP and what it stands for, I know several things about Fergus Ewing. He's unwavering in his approach. He's as honest as the day comes. He's one of the hardest working politicians I've ever known. And generally, of course, as well. He's just a decent man. And he is probably the only politician in Britain for whom I would say I respect and like. That's not bad considering how many of them there are.
And that's also not bad considering he's in a party that you was in a party that you fundamentally disagree with. For him to be able to be in that party and for you to still respect him and think he's a decent person means not only is he a decent person, he must be a very decent person to be able to come through that and for you to still think he's a decent man. Well done, him. I've never heard of him, but well done.
Yeah, no, he's good.
Right. Excellent. Foxy, we've ended on a high. I thought we were going to end with all of them. All of them are crap, but no, you managed to find one. Thank you.
One. I found the one, Nick. The one gleaming gem in a swamp filled with crud.
Well, one is better than none.
Yeah.
So that I'm taking the positives out of it. One is better than none. Foxy, we'll catch up again soon. See you soon.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Take care and goodbye to everyone who's managed to get to the end of this video.